Hey game designers, this is the last video for the male reference. We are now going to go ahead and make the crotch and the legs. So let's go ahead and check some of our options. For now, let's go ahead and turn our symmetry off until we need it. And let's go ahead and turn back our reference. So group 1 was my reference here. I can go ahead and hit H. And now looks like we can go ahead and start making the crotch area. Alright, so let's go ahead and click down here somewhere. Let's go ahead and go to edge mode. And we're going to select this edge right here using the front view. And I'm going to hit F to frame it. Okay, so I'm going to turn off soft select. If you see this kind of yellow color, your soft select is on. Let's go ahead and make sure that's turned off. Alright, so I'm going to kind of frame it over here as well. So that we can get kind of a front view. So we'll kind of go around here, so it's probably about somewhere around here. So we probably don't need that many lattices here. It looks like we probably need about 4 faces, somewhere right here, right here, right here, and right here. So let's go ahead and get this done. Alright, so again, we're using the same 3 tools. We're going to use extrude using the move function. We're going to use the regular move function. And we're going to use the scale tool to kind of scale down and create that tapered look. So I'm going to go here and there, and we're going to use the move tool. And when you use the move tool, if you hold shift, you can actually create an extrusion that's horizontal, vertical. Okay. Now don't worry if your face doesn't show up like this. It's probably because we don't have a 2-sided lighting on or something like that. Turn off backculling. There we go. So let's go ahead and now that we created it, let's go ahead and move it where we want. So here it's about right, but we're probably going to move it a little bit inward like that. Okay, and I usually like to line it up with another vertex like this. Okay, and then I'm going to probably use R tool and kind of scale it down a little bit here. So kind of get it scaled down. And maybe I even want to move it up a little bit. Okay, because I want to have maybe one more area go down. So that was just a move, a rotate, and a scale with the R tool. So let's go ahead and now create another extrusion. So I'm still in the move tool. I'm going to hold shift, and now I can extrude one more time. Okay, so I extruded sideways here. I'm going to go back and just use my regular move tool, and go ahead and move this down. So let's go ahead and move this face downward. Make sure that you're clicking on both faces here. Now here sometimes this is when perspective view might come in handy. Let's make sure hardware texturing's on. So I'm going to go ahead and frame it on here as well. And try to click on these faces over here. So we're talking about that face here. And that face there. I lost selection of my faces. I'm going to go ahead and move it down now. Okay. So you can see the bottom of his crotch is around that area right there. I'm going to use the R tool and go ahead and taper it down. Now there is another thing you could do when you see this in the situation where your faces are kind of going into the reference and you really can't see one or the other. What you can do is actually go ahead and change the Lambert. So this is a technique you could use when you're using references, is that you go into Lambert under here, the display hypershading window. And the faces that you make are by default Lambert 1. And you can actually just go ahead and increase its transparency right here. So I'm on Lambert 1, which is what the standard faces in Maya are created in. And if you turn up the transparency and you go ahead and close this hypershading thing, you can actually start seeing your references through make your faces more transparent. You can actually see the references a little bit better. Okay. So we tapered it in. So let's go ahead and continue where we left off. So I'm going to go my select tool here. I'm going to select this face and this face. I'm going to use another extrusion. So shift, move. So hit the move button, hit shift. So now I'm going to taper it back out. And like I said, I want to move it just right about above here. Okay. And I'm going to move it up a little bit. Make sure you don't hit shift twice. You let go of shift, and now you can just extrude, or you can start just move the faces where you want it. So I hold shift, move to extrude. Once I extrude, I can just use regular move to kind of move it where I want it. And now I'm going to start doing the reversed. So over here now, I'm going to start instead of scaling down, I'm going to start scaling up. Because now we're kind of on the back side here. So kind of winding it out a little bit. And let's see if the bridge tool will work in our situation. So basically I have these two faces now, and I want to connect them to the back of the buttocks. So I'm going to go ahead and I already have these two edges selected. I'm going to select on this edge and this edge. And let's see if our bridge tool will work. Nope, doesn't seem to like our bridge tool right now. So I'm trying to bridge these four faces, and it doesn't like the number of edges we selected. So, okay, that's fine. So instead of going and use a bridge tool, we can just go and use another extrude. So I'm going to go back and select on the back two faces. Okay, I got those two faces. I'm going to extrude again. So I have the move tool selected. I just hold shift, and it should say extrude. There it is. And now I can just weld it. Okay, so once I extrude one more time, I just kind of extrude it horizontally. It doesn't really matter, because what we're going to do is we're going to target weld now. So we're going to target weld, go ahead and use target, and we're going to go back to vertex mode now. So we have 3 vertexes to connect. This one to over here, this one to the center of butt, and that one over there. So I'm just going to use target and choose where I want this point to move to this point. This point to move to this point, and this point to move to this point. And there you have it. Now we have the crotch area for our male model. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the number of vertices now. So I'm going to turn off reference for a minute. And just go back and click on our object here. How many vertices do I have on the inside leg? So I'm going to start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8. So it's a nice, beautiful number, 8. So just like Homer, we're going to use a cylinder that is 8 units, 8 subdivision axes. So that's what we're going to do and make Homer with. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go back to a cylinder, make a primitive here. And I think I have interactive select on, or do I? Let's see. Do I have a cylinder? Yes, I do. Okay, so my cylinder is like way down here. Okay, and let's go ahead and start editing it. Let's go ahead and make sure it's all 0, that it is. Let's go ahead and move it. So I'm going to move it somewhere right here. Okay, and let's go ahead and turn back our reference back on and kind of help us see where we're going with this. Now, obviously, these legs are not going to do, so because they're not very vertical here. So let's go ahead and actually do what we did with the other arms. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off reference 1. I'm going to use my group 2, and I'm just going to rotate group 2 so that his legs become very vertical. So I'm just going to use E to rotate, and you can rotate references. Okay, so something like that probably, right? And I'm going to use the move tool, kind of move it up here, and then move it up. Okay, and kind of see how it's symmetrical with my axes here. So look on group 2. And let's see, is that where I want it? That looks about right. So this guy has a lot more curvy of a foot. Maybe a little bit more rotation this way. And again, this is not, required, but keep your leg as vertical as possible here. And that looks good. So now I have a nice leg right here to use as a reference. Okay, so I'm going to leave group 2 as my rotated reference, and I'm going to go back and let's go ahead and hide this for a minute. So that's not going to be bothering us here. So let's go ahead and work on our leg now. So I'm going to go back to the channel box for our cylinder, and I'm going to go here and change the radius. Obviously this radius is way too big. Let's try something like 0.5, and even that may be way too big. Let's go ahead 0.3. Okay, so there we go. So that's getting, like I said, I prefer you guys to go ahead and start small, and then expand out. So the height probably needs to be something like 5. Oh man, looks like 8. No, maybe 7. Just use the move tool here. Move it up a little bit and see where we're at. So we want to hit the ground. So the ground is actually right here. And reach his crotch. And my reference is not high enough. Just go ahead and move my reference back down again. So it's like right there. And we're going to reach somewhere around here. So this height is definitely not big enough. So let's go back to our cylinder and increase the height. So 7 is not going to do. Let's go maybe 8.3 or something. Okay, so, and looks like we have it, about 8.3. Okay, so again, here's our opportunity to do any last changes to references before we start modeling this thing. And I'm kind of picky, so I'm just going to rotate it just a little bit more. So just rotate it just a little bit more to get it as centered as possible. Okay, and use the move tool, move it to the x-axis here, and maybe move it a little bit more to the left. Something like that. Okay? Alright, so let's go back to our cylinder again. And now that we have it nice and small, we have a small radius, we're going to use a subdivision of 8. That's the most important part. And we're actually not going to do any, subdivision axes of 8. And we're actually not going to do any subdivision heights. We're just going to leave it at 1. Okay? Because we're going to be able to go in here and go ahead and add a whole bunch of we're going to add a whole bunch of subdivisions so that we can figure out how much we need here. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to our cylinder and let's go ahead and start adding those subdivisions. So we have this sphere, and obviously there's no subdivisions now. We're going to go to our mesh tool, our edit mesh tool, nope, our mesh tools. Okay, there you go, mesh tools. I'm going to go to insert edge loop, and you have it. You see the edge loop tool right here to your left, and we're going to go ahead and insert some edge loops. So I'm going to insert one here and here for the upper leg here. Okay, and I'm going to put one on the knee, 3 edge loops on the knee. So somewhere right here, and right here. Okay, and then we're going to put some on the ankle. So I'm going to kind of move my camera here. Kind of move my camera down here. Around the ankle, so the ankle is somewhere around here, here, and there. Okay. And you can see that his hamstring is tapered kind of downward. So I'm probably going to give it about 3 more. I'll just go 2 edge loops for now. So one right there and one right there. So 2 edge loops for his hamstring. His calves look like they're going to need a few. So I'm going to probably go, one where it kind of starts tapering up, one where it's at its widest, and kind of one right here, and then kind of taper it down. Okay. And let's go ahead now and start clicking on these edge rings and expanding them how we need them. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's start with this one here. So, oops, I created some edge loops. Control Z. Hopefully I didn't create any more edge loops. Okay, so let's go back and make sure we have our select tool open. And we're going to click on the first edge loop. So if we double click one edge that's parallel, it will circle and select all these edges here. And we're going to use the R tool to scale up first and get it nice and wide. And somehow our other reference is not correct. Let's go and look at our references and see what's going on here. So our other reference, we move the front face, but we never move the side face. So let's go ahead and check NURB surface number 3 and go ahead and move that back down. So I'm kind of moving my side reference here. Okay. That doesn't look right. Let's see what we did wrong here. From the front view, we look good. From the side view, we just rotated the leg. Oh, this one's been rotated. Oh, okay. Okay, so something happened to our NURP surface 3 that had it rotated, angled it completely wrong. So let's go ahead and move that back. So it looks like 45 degrees. Okay, let's go ahead and move it. So hopefully your reference didn't get screwed up like mine. Okay, and it looks like a little bit more. Let's go like 47. Yep, like 47, 48. And go ahead and move it back to 0. Okay, and get it rotated up again. Okay, all right, so there, that goes, fixes our references. Be careful when you rotate your references, long story short. So let's go ahead and look at our scale right here. And let's go ahead and frame it here and frame it right here. So it looks like we're a little bit too wide. Let's go ahead and use the R scale and scale it down a little bit here. I'm going to use the W tool and move it kind of sideways here. And then I check over here. It looks like I'm a little bit too wide. So I'm going to go right about there and move it probably right about there. And then scale it one more time. Get it probably a little bit less. W to move it. Okay, get it there. So I'm just using W, R, and scale to try to get this shape that I want. Go back to edge loop again. Click on the next set of edge loops. Double click. Try to center it. And then we're going to scale it using R. So I'm going to scale it in both directions for now until I feel like something's going to hit. And it looks like I'm hitting just about the same time. So it looks like I should do a little bit of adjustment here and scale just a little bit more this way. Okay, there we go. Okay, and now I'm going to do the next edge loop. And I'm going to move it and kind of space it out evenly here. So maybe I'll take this edge loop and just move it up. Okay, get it about equal distant here. And now I'm going to take this edge loop and I'm going to go ahead and center it. That looks centered here. That looks centered about there. Now I'm going to use the R tool, scale it in both directions first, and then realize I probably need to make some adjustments here. I gotta adjust it a little bit this way, and go ahead and R scale it up again. Get it there, and scale it up a little bit there. Okay, and on this one, probably have to move it a little bit this way and then scale it that way. Again, you know, I'm going to be as much detail as me. That's just me trying to be as accurate as I can. So I'm going to go here now, use the move tool, scale it or move it a little bit here, maybe move it a little bit there, and then go ahead and scale it up here. And remember, when you're scaling with a human model, you definitely got to watch both directions. So I'm using the front view and I'm looking at the side view, getting it just right. Okay. And now let's go ahead and again click on edge mode, select tool, and make sure I select the edge loop easily here. Okay, sometimes clicking the Q tool makes it gets rid of the widget so that you're not bothered by that. Let's go ahead and use the move tool, center it. Looks like I need to center it a little bit this way, and looks like I need to center it probably a little bit that way. And then I'm going to use the R tool. Let's kind of scale it in the middle first, so in both directions. And then looks like this view looks like it's good. This view looks like it needs a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to use R to kind of move it over here. Scale it a little bit again. Okay, so move and scale, move and scale. Okay, now let's go ahead and click on this one of these faces here and hit F and frame closer. Hit F, frame closer here, and scoot out just a little bit. And now I want to move it, try to center it again, center it there, center it there. Go ahead and hit the R tool and scale outward in both directions. Okay, and that looks almost good on both ends there. So maybe just a little bit more over here. All right. So those are just extra subdivisions for his hamstring to kind of give it its definition here. I'm going to click on the next edge loop. Go ahead and move it centered as much as I can. Center it around his knees like that. Go ahead and use the R tool in both directions. Scale it to his outside there. Scale it to his outside there. Let's see, how's that look? No, that's good. Okay. So I think we're in the part of his knee. So his knee is kind of too high here because remember I just made those edge loops kind of nilly-nelly. So let's go ahead and kind of make it equidistant here to his knees. Take this edge loop, move it up to his knees. So that's about his knee, and then try to keep it equidistant here. Double click on this edge loop, move it in the middle here. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and take on this edge loop and let's go ahead and center it again. Continue our process of centering and scaling in two directions. So scaling this way, getting a nice definition there, and this one looks like I need to scale a little bit more and move it just a tad bit left and maybe scale out just a little bit more. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and move down to the last part of the knee. The last part of the knee is right here, and again I'm going to center it in both directions, try to get it nice and centered there so that when I scale it I'll get a good idea of what I'm looking at here. So that looks good. Okay, maybe I'm going to need to move it a little bit over here and scale it just a little bit more. Okay, and go ahead and go here. And if I feel like I don't like the curve, the way the curve looks, I can go ahead and add more edge loops. There's no harm in that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit frame and kind of center where I want it. Frame, center where I want it. So this one's going to definitely need some centering like that. Let's go ahead and use the R tool. Kind of scale outward this way. Okay. And let's see how we're doing on this one. So you can kind of look back here if you need to kind of look. I'm going to hit F and frame it here. This one's way too wide. I kind of lost view of it over here. So I need to scale it down a little bit like that. You kind of look from the back view. Okay. All right. So that looks like that. That looks good there. Okay. So let's go ahead and work on another edge loop here. And again, we can always add more edge loops if we feel like the need. So I'm going to click on this next edge loop. Go ahead and try to move it and center it like right about there. This one's going to scale it a little bit over here. I'm going to use the R tool, kind of expand it out here. I'm going to use the move tool, move it here. Scale it a little bit more. Move tool there. And I kind of lost view again because on the other side of the reference. So let's go ahead and go back here and see how it looks. And it looks like I'm a little bit too big on this wide. So it looks something like that probably. Okay. And let's go ahead and go, do I need more edge loops here? You can hit Q and go to the edge loop mode, and that doesn't look like I have anything there. So let's go ahead and take care of the last part of the foot. So I'm going to click on this edge loop here. I'm going to use the W tool, center it. Okay, and kind of frame it so we can see a little bit closer. Get it right about there, and go ahead and use the R tool, scale it out a little bit. Kind of use our perspective view, kind of hit frame on this one too. So you can sort of see if we're probably a little bit too thick. The ankles are coming, so probably something like that. And let's go ahead and go to the next set of edge loops. I'm going to use W, center it. And I probably want to center all of these, otherwise it's going to look very distorted. So I'm going to center it like that. And the last part, I don't know, it's somewhere right here. Okay. And here, we're probably going to do and actually we don't want to center with his foot. I take that back. We want to center if his legs were cylindrical. So say right about here. And we'll do another extrusion for the feet later. Okay. So here, we're going to kind of move it here and scale it up. I'm sorry, scale it, not rotate it. So scale is the R tool. Get it there. And go to this ankle and scale it out like so. Kind of center it a little bit more. scale it out just a little bit more. There we go. And now we got the ankle here. So click on my Q tool and kind of really frame there, get kind of really close. And probably gonna have to move it down a little bit. Oop, did I miss an edge loop? Uh-oh, what did I do? Did I move something and not move them all? Oh, I think I screwed up the edge loop here. I have an extra edge here. So here's again an opportunity to, what happens when you screw up, when you didn't click on the entire edge loop and you move only a few. Just go ahead and delete all this. So if I go to face tool, so easy to fix up mistakes. Just go to this entire face and go ahead and hit delete. Okay, and you can kind of look down here now on my bottom of my foot. So I'm gonna click on this edge loop and go ahead and create another set of vertices. So I'm going to do an extrusion. I'm going to use shift, bring it down. I'm going to merge it to one point. Okay, and then I'm going to move it back up. Okay. I'm going to grab all these points, use my R scale tool, make sure they're aligned with each other. Okay, so now I recreated the faces on the bottom like I originally had it. Let's go ahead and continue where we're at. Let's go ahead and extrude again. I'm going to use the W tool to extrude and extrude all the way down. So I don't know what's going on here. Let's go ahead and use face select and go ahead and select all these faces. I'm going to have to turn on camera base selection on. Okay, and now I'm going to hopefully extrude again, and hopefully I'm not going to have a problem now. Go ahead and shift extrude, yep, and extrude it down. Okay, all right, so that fixes my issue that I was having before. Let's go back to my edge mode. And it looks like I probably want a little edge to kind of create this heel. So I'm actually going to go ahead and use the mesh tools. Go ahead and insert another edge loop here. Mesh tools, insert edge loop. And I'm going to insert one right, say right there, to kind of create that heel. So now I have another edge loop. Oops. I can use my edge selector now and turn off edge loop mode. Go ahead and let's go ahead and center it a little bit to the right here. Use my R tool, kind of expand it out. Kind of a little bit of a web feet there. Okay. And maybe my last edge. So let's go back to my select tool and R tool it, or move it a little bit this way, and go ahead and R tool a little bit this way. Move it back a little bit there. Okay. And let's see, anything else I want to do. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to try to straighten this part out here. So maybe I'm just going to go into vertex mode. And this is kind of a cool trick to kind of get all these points to line up the way you want it. You just grab all these points right here. Okay. These points right here. And use the R tool. And you just scale all the way in. And what that does is it creates kind of that way we did when we used the move tool, where we wanted all the faces to look one direction. So there we go. We kind of move all those vertices and align them. And what I'm doing, actually I'm going to go ahead and click on all these faces here and do the same thing and just vertically align them. Oh, take that back. Make sure I turn off this camera base selection. So I select the vertices in the back as well, and now do it. And that will make the leg completely straight, all those 9 vertices. And now we're going to go ahead and click on these 4 faces right here. So the first 4 faces. Okay. So I'm going to kind of turn off my reference for a minute so that you guys can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to go to group 2, hit hide. And so here's my kind of topology right now. I'm going to zoom in, come down here, click on face mode, and I'm going to extrude just like Homer and make that foot. So I'm going to use the move tool and hold down shift to extrude. Actually, I don't want to extrude, I just want to move. Let's go ahead and move it, okay, and move it however far I need it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my reference now and turn it back on, okay, and okay, so you can see I'm back over here. Let's go ahead and go back to my cylinder here, and where was I? I was over here with these 4 faces. So once you go back on face mode, you can see what faces you're pulling. So I'm going to pull it like so. Okay, and now I'm going to start moving some of the stuff around. Okay, so let's start with the edges. Let's start with the edges. So let's see. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to merge these edges together. So I'm going to go ahead and use target weld. I'm going to click on vertex and merge it with this one. Take this, merge it to this one, and take this and merge it to that one. Okay, and now we kind of have our feet going on here. Actually, I'd undo that. I don't want to do that. Take that back. Let's see. Actually, I just want to move this edge back. So I'm going to take these edges and use the W tool to move them back, because I want my ankle. I want my ankles back. Okay, Control Z. Make sure you select on both edges. Click on this edge. Click on this edge. Okay, kind of move it back. And like I said, you don't have to follow my way of modeling exactly to the tooth. You guys have your own methods. You guys, know the type of things I'm doing. So here's the point where I'm going to go ahead and go back to smooth view here. I'm going to hit number 3 and really get to see what my topology looks like. Okay, and look at the leg and kind of see where everything is. Yep, and there we go. Okay, we have our leg now. So I'm going to go ahead and do some cleanup work here. So I'm going to go back and turn off my other sphere for a minute. I'm going to open up the hole here. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to click on face mode. And just going to shift click all the faces. And move my camera around here. Click on these 4 faces. Oh my God. Okay, shift, 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 alt, shift, 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 and shift. Okay, and I'm just going to delete those faces. Okay, so now I'm ready to replicate my foot and go ahead and replicate it. Oh, this looks like my feet aren't webbed enough. So maybe what I'm going to do is go ahead and go ahead and frame it over here. My foot looks like a little bit too narrow before I duplicate it. So let's go back into non-smooth view. And let's go ahead and click on this last edge ring here. Okay, and let's go ahead and frame it over here. You kind of see it better down here. It's definitely not wide enough here. So when you use the R tool, just scale it wider. Okay, scale it wider here. Okay, and let's go back to smooth view and see that's still too small. So we're going to scale it even wider here. Something like that. Okay, and probably need to scale up the second edge ring here. So I'm going to click on the next edge ring. And looks like I need to scale that a little wider here. Kind of get that foot nice and rounded. Okay, maybe that's too wide. Too wide this way. Kind of bring it down a little bit there. And maybe this edge ring's a little bit too much too. So I'm going to go back to this edge ring. Double click. Okay, that's too wide. A little bit down. Okay, that looks better. Okay, there we go. And maybe if you feel the need, if you feel like this is too not wide enough, you can go in there and widen it out just a little bit. Okay. Yep, something like that. Oh, maybe this looks not wide enough either. Widen up there. All right. And again, this is only a reference. You don't have to go into insane detail here because we're not exactly trying to model to this reference, although I try to. Um, do some quick fixes here. If you see anything that looks completely disproportionate, make it look a little more real here. Okay, looking at it in smooth view kind of helps us do that. Okay, and maybe, maybe his legs. No, his legs looks just like about there. Okay, all right. So, anyway, let's go and go back and let's go ahead and start duplicating. All right, so let's go ahead and turn our tool on to object mode here. We're clicking on our object, and we're going to the channel box, and everything is almost zeroed out. So let's go ahead and use freeze transformation and zero everything out here. We're going to go ahead and reset the pivot. If you go to W tool, the pivot's in the middle of the object. If we go to modify and reset transformation, it'll go around the origin. And now we're ready to duplicate. We're going to go to edit, duplicate special. Make sure it's a copy, a parent, and make sure it's -1 scale. Go ahead, apply. Okay, it will create another leg over here. This leg will have a -1 scale. We want to make sure that's reset. So we're going to go and freeze that transformation to make it a bunch of zeros and ones. And now we have three things that we want to merge. So I want to take these two and combine these two and the sphere that's hidden. So let's go ahead and hide that sphere. Go ahead and click on these, and now we're going to go to mesh tool and combine them. Okay, and now they're ready to go ahead and get welded. Okay, so let's see, did I delete like I was supposed to the crotch area before? No, I forgot. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm gonna go back and turn on my turn off my transparency for Lambda 1. For Lambert 1 here, and let's see. Oh, yep, I totally forgot. So before I made the crotch, I should have deleted the faces. So let's go ahead and see if I can still select these faces here. Go to face selection here, and kind of go around frame and kind of go around here, and rotate my camera. I'm just going to move it real quick so I can select it. I can't move that. There we go. And rotate camera one more time. And I think I have every face. Nope, one more. Okay, and go ahead and delete. So please do this before the video. I'm sorry if you guys forgot to delete it. Yeah, but we got to delete the holes before we go ahead and combine these and weld these. So if we did everything all right, we should be able to just simply weld now. All the vertices should be the same. So let's go and do that right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the more obvious ones. I think the one on the side is more obvious. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my reference now. Where are we? We're on group number 2 here. I'm going to hide my references. So obviously the side ones are the most easy to see here. And let's make sure my symmetry tool is on, because hopefully my objects are still symmetry. And let's go ahead and go to vertex mode. Go to vertex mode, and we're going to use target weld, and we're going to weld somewhere in the center. So here to here, weld that. Here to here, weld that. Here to here, weld that. This one's a little bit harder to see, but I think it's right. Actually, I don't know. Oh, yeah, it is. So that one to that one. Maybe start on this side and makes it a little bit easier. That one to that one. That one to that one. And I'm doing left click and dragging. That one to that one. I think this one to that one. And there we have it. Okay, we have it nice and welded now. And let's see what it looks like in smooth view. And if you feel like, there's areas where you want to go in there and, pull out, smoothen a little bit more, you're welcome to. Let's see. Okay. And there we have it. I think we are done with our model. Let's go ahead and click on selection mode and go to object mode and just kind of see. I don't know why that particular face is dark or something. Must have some type of camera setting on where it's doing that. Or let's see if I have back face culling on or not. Turn off bat face culling. Smooth shade all. Nope. Okay. I don't know what the reason why that face is dark. Maybe I'll figure it out later. Okay, and that kind of helps us model a humanoid man.